So this is lesson 5.2 problem set in elementary algebra, and gosh, there's a lot of problems in here. I'm trying to see here if there's anything that's going to be freaky on you. 1 through 26 shouldn't give you any trouble at all. It's the 27 through 72 that might give you a little bit of a headache. So let's look at one like 34. So we have 100p squared minus 1200p plus 3200. Okay, so we have 100 there. We're going to factor 100 out. And that gives me, is that 1200? Yeah. Plus 3200. Alright, so we're going to factor that 100 out. Now, we're just going to look at this and this. So I've got a p, I've got a p. I know my largest number is going to be negative. Two numbers multiplied together give me 32, added give me 12. Okay, so what do I have there? 16 and 2, nope. 8 and 4. 8 and 4 give me 12 when I add them, and a positive 32. But look what happens here. I'm trying to get a positive 32 and a negative 12. We have not run into this before. So how am I going to get a negative 12 here? Well, I said that the biggest number is going to be negative. Well, what is negative 4 plus, or negative 8 plus 4? Negative 4, right? Not negative 12. But what if I made this negative also? Now I've got negative 8 plus negative 4 is negative 12, and negative 8 times negative 4 is a positive 32. So that works. Two negatives give me a positive, and don't forget to put the 100 there as well. So let's go to some of those trickier ones. Let's look at 51. A squared minus 2ab minus 8b squared. So remember, I had mentioned earlier to don't worry about that, the a there. Let's just worry about the b. So I know I'm going to have a b there and a b there. So because of that, I have this and this. I just like drawing circles. Go away. Okay. Now let's see what else we got. Multiplied together to give me negative 8. Well, a 4 and a 2 multiply together to give me an 8. So I'll put those in there. Now let's see. I've got a negative here, so I think that probably needs to be negative there, right? And because this is a positive, what do we have here? A negative 4b times a positive 2 is negative 8. A negative 4 plus 2 gives me a negative 2. And let's do the FOIL method to see if that's right. First, outside, inside, and last. These added up. And that gives me that right there. Alright, so that is very similar to 51. Notice I did not do 51. 51 has a plus sign right there, which means that your answer here is going to be a little bit different just because of the plus and minuses, but you follow the same method in order to do that. Okay, so I did not do that on purpose. I really meant to do 51, but I forgot to put the plus sign, so then my answer was a little bit goofy. If you look at number 51, the difference is this would be a negative and this would be a plus on the one they did, but like I say, I used a negative here instead of a plus sign, so then my answer was a little off. So let's look at number 61. Okay. Can't pull anything out. So what is the square root of that? x squared. X squared times x squared is x to the 4th. Alright, so two numbers multiplied to give me 6. Added give me negative 5. Okay, so because this one's a positive and this one's a negative, I know that one of my signs because of this has got to be a negative. Well, now I run into trouble because a negative times, if that were a positive, would give me a negative, and that's a positive 6. So that means that the 2 has to be negative 2, so that I can multiply negative 3 times negative 2 to give me a positive. I can add negative 3 and negative 2 and get a negative there. So that ends up being my answer. So watch those negatives and positives, because those will really mess you up if you're not careful. Okay, so that is it for the problem set for 5.2.